some people are just like low-end phone models in the sense that you need to train them, you need to give them guidance on how to, or you need to give them assistance for them to even be able to perform or function properly. This could be like, I'm not an expert in phones, but it's kind of like you have to mod them, you have to jailbreak them, you have to root them so that they can perform better. And despite all of that, they crash, they malfunction, and you have to hard reset them, and then they default to factory settings. But this is kind of different from a phone in the sense that, like, no matter how much you try to like input into them, every single time they just like default to factory settings. You know why I say that, like, the Singapore bus community, like the younger generation, like, I look at them and I really think it's not salvageable. Like, they just have no hope. Like, okay, correct, 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 correct. And then, like, what in the fuck is this? I get it. Cameo rarity is subjective, and if you guys really, really, really want to know what is truly considered rare, I'm gonna give you one example. It has happened before. Because during Sunli Bus Park, I mean that era, I mean when the CNGs were still in Sunli Bus Park, they permed this, and this as well. And then there were also like kind of crazy crossovers to this and this as well. This one is just insane. Like 93 gets like double deckers from service 7, and it gets CNGs from like 143, which again is quite wild now that you think about it. And then for a period of time, it even permed like there was this, and I don't know if this thing ever permed 183, but then 192 for a period of time had perms, this one had perms as well. And then, even in the past, right, they tried to spawn out CNGs on 97E or 502, but they got cancelled, so they never happened. But if you want to talk about the cameos that actually managed to get spawned out, for whatever reason, because the starters got desperate, there was like no other bus that could replace them. At any given point in time, they decided to spawn this thing out. Or I could even say like the really, really famous or infamous example that if you want to know something that is like truly record-breaking rare, okay, I can tell you one thing. It is this thing. So the bus captain was paid overtime for this. It was an emergency pullover for one trip. It was this. But all traces of it have vanished like throughout the internet. Because the website hosts, like, they evicted the website owners, and their photographs were not able to be kept online anymore. So yeah, this has happened before, but you wouldn't find any evidence of it. But this is something that is like truly record-breaking, very super rare, whatever the fuck you call it. Objectively, in this column, I would put 855 Bendy. And then somewhere around here-ish, I would put 167 Bendy. Because for a period of time, it used to be common. And then for 961 Bendy, which only happened a few times in history, it is very close to like this. So yeah, this is another way to like classify them. And I get it. These kids who are born in like, I don't know, like after 2005 or like around 2010s, they don't really have a good grasp of like bus history, and they're just doing their own subjective chart according to whatever they've experienced. Okay, fine. Cameos are subjective. But again, it's still no excuse for you to go around clickbaiting, oh, every single bus service that this bus tends to spawn, sorry. Every single bus service that this particular bus spawns on, and then you say, oh, this is rare or what? Like, it's really stupid because the only difference between this and other OCs is that this thing has the special EDS and stuff like that. So with the same logic, right, every single thing that this thing cameos on will be automatically considered rare, right? Yeah. Honestly, it's stupid. It's also the same thing by saying this is rare or this is rare. Like, sorry, for a Budok North depot, it's the same thing as like saying this shit is rare or this shit is rare when they're clearly being rigged out by bus enthusiast staff that are working in Budok North bus depot in the first place. So it's as stupid as this. Like, the only difference between this and other MAN A22s and SBS Transit is the livery. And it's not like SBS Transit never had SMRT livery A22s like throughout the course of history. Like, this wasn't the first one. And before people call me a hypocrite as to why I decide to put this or why I decide to put this, because whilst this thing does carry the definition of rare, it also can mean something that's like unusual. So I did it for 190 Bendy, like during a PM peak run, which is honestly nowadays is quite common, but back then it wasn't as common. And then for this as well. This thing, objectively speaking, it's probably around here. Like, this thing was probably around here. But the reason why I put this for this and this is because I have Japanese viewers, and I don't want to give them the impression that like, oh, it's so easy to like hunt 190 Bettys. If anybody like from overseas tries to ask me, hey, I want to look for Betty buses, and I heard that there are like Betty buses on 190, I want to try to spot them. I would actually discourage them from even trying to hunt Bentleys on 190 because it's not like, oh, you want it and then the Bentley bus would just appear right in front of you. It's kind of like the same logic as, it's not like you want a 900 Bentley, it'll just like spawn in front of you. In fact, I think yesterday, right, it spawned. But for like many months, it hasn't really spawned at all. And the same goes for this thing. During the period of time whereby there were lots of like OCs that were parked in Suli Bus Park, this thing was kind of considered like this. So yeah. And then the number of times that 502 has ever spawned OCs, it's not very high, but it's like not rock bottom either. But because again, this thing does carry the definition of unusual and not just like quote unquote rare, I need to put this so that my international viewers, which make up the majority of my audience, it's not even Singaporeans by the way, they wouldn't actually try to hunt for these buses, and then they would be like, hey, ZBK, why didn't these buses appear? And then they would start blaming me for like, hey, I didn't tell them, and then stuff like that. So to prevent anything from happening for selected videos, I choose to put this because I don't want them to like get the impression that like, oh, you want it, it'll just appear right in front of your face, like it's fixed or anything. On hindsight, maybe in a few years I might just remove it, change the title, because more people might have already been informed that like, hey, it's not like when you want it, it'll appear right in front of you. So, you know, maybe in a few years later, I would change the title, so I would get rid of all the Mare titles, okay. But it starts to become really ridiculous when people start titling this thing. It's like uncommon / rare cameo, and then you know what the fuck they put? This thing, what is it? ZX, is it T? I forgot to check some. Hold on. ZXTRM, right? Is it this? And then this one is 1743. 1742, 1744. Should be this, right? Yeah. Sorry, I'm bad at this. It's like this goddamn thing used to be perm on 65. Now it's no longer perm. It's like it went back to 39 or something. Okay, X perm, that's one thing. And the thing is, like, you gotta like ask yourselves, how many SD slots does 65 have? I mean, be it Borough North or like Ulu Pandan Depot, doesn't matter. Because even if it's a Ulu Pandan Ulu Pandan Depot slot, there is nothing stopping them, like, in terms of like legislation, there is nothing stopping them from taking a Bedok North bus and using that bus to do a Ulu Pandan Depot slot. There's nothing wrong with that. So it's not like, oh, Bedok North Depot single deckers can only replace other Bedok North Depot single deckers as well. And then there's the downsizes, which I wouldn't talk about because it's not relevant in this context, but it's like, let's just talk about single deckers. So 65 used to be like full DD. But then after like downtown line, the demand dropped a little bit, and that's why they could afford to run single deckers at like selected timings. So yeah, now there are single deckers on like 65, and now they are getting like pretty common. Like you can talk about KUB, you can talk about Citaro, and then sometimes they will put man A22s on 65, which is not even rare in the first place. I would even say it's quite common. It's just that it's slightly less common as compared to like KUB or Citaro. That's all. But for you to like for you to completely misunderstand the whole point of like this Cameo rarity classification that I don't even use a lot in the first place, for you to completely misunderstand that and start inflating the rarity of Cameos, start labeling every fucking thing as rare just so that you can clickbait, it's really, really, really stupid. It's like this goddamn thing used to be an X perm, and then now you're like saying it's like somehow rare when 65 has a lot of SDs that could be replaced with a man A22 in the first place. Yeah, like Ulu Pandan has man A22s, Bedok North has man A22. So when you have two depots that have perm A20, I mean that have like A22s like assigned to their respective depots, and then you start saying, oh, it's rare. Oh my god, it's so stupid. And then I'm gonna go back to the point of whereby just because you don't see a cameo with your own eyes doesn't mean the bus is running. See, here's the thing, bus enthusiasts, they are like this. They typically only report something when it's like significant enough to them, per se. So a lot of times, a lot of man A22 cameos, they would go, they might run around completely, how do you say it? It'll evade the watchful eyes of bus enthusiasts. I don't really know how else to phrase it. Think about it. Service 111, its current route is Gimo to Suntec Loop. If this thing still had its old route, like it still ran all the way to like Hougang, then okay, more people would have been able to spot it. But it's like, it's confined within the south side of Singapore. And because of that, the number of places that it passes by are completely limited, even if it's Orchard. Like, if this thing were to do an emergency pullover for one trip, I can bet you, like, not a lot of people would be even able to spot this because the route is not even that long in the first place. Like, if this thing happened to spawn when everybody is at work or in school or something, nobody would have been able to spot this. And a lot of these QoSs or one-trip e-pools, you can talk... let's say if nobody was tracking this or this, a lot of them would have slid by undetected by the bus enthusiasts. I'm not saying undetected on the app, but like bus enthusiasts wouldn't be able to like see this if they're in school or they are at work, if they had no context from like Bedok North Depot in this case. And yeah, because this is a short route, if this thing ever did like a one-trip e-poll, then okay. Yeah, people might not be able to spot it, especially if it runs at those odd hours, like either late at night or like AM off peak when people haven't woken up or they are busy with their own lives, kind of thing. objectively speaking, this is also another reason why compare AM peak and PM peak cameos. People tend to, like before they go to school, people tend to be able to spot AM peak cameos more than AM off peak cameos. And then by the time it comes to like late afternoon to like PM peak cameos, majority of the cameos would be reported at around this timing. Unless it's like a weekend, people go out and then there's like a major bus event or what, like introduction of a new service, opening of like this interchange, that interchange, unless there's like some sort of like event going on. A lot of the cameos that happen during AM off peak, or even I would say AM peak per se, they might have not gotten, they wouldn't have been spotted by people. A lot of the cameo spotting tends to take place at PM peak, even for myself as well. You notice how like because I'm in CBD, I'm able to spot like the cameos happening on these services or like or like the OCs that are happening on this service and stuff like that. Same logic. Again, and when I say bus enthusiasts are hopeless, like nowadays. Okay. Service 175, Running Man A22s. This one. It's not as uncommon as you think. It's just that because people are like already used to the fact that like, oh man, A22s cameo around, and then you know that like this is a bus community that whenever a Euro 6 starts cameoing, they would like go crazy, they would scream and shout over it, whereas if it's like a Man 822 Euro 5 cameo that's not SMB 310R, or maybe that's not Pixels, they wouldn't give a shit about it. Like if it's just a green Man 822, I don't think a lot of people would objectively give a shit about it. And that's why I think a lot of like the cameos on 175 go about unreported. Like right now, I mean, I wouldn't be spotting 175 like in a few weeks time for obvious reasons, but like I stay near 175 and I don't even go about spotting 175 cameos. Simply because like frequency wise it's so infrequent. If anything happens on like say 75, I would be able to catch it more easily because I can see 75. 175, the frequency is not that good. I wouldn't be able to see it, and most of the times I don't really give a crap anyway because it's like I don't care if it's like a KUB or a Citaro, I will be like, okay, treasure it. But maybe that's just me. But my main point is that like if you want me to put a rarity on Man A22s, I don't care what livery it is, just Euro 5. 175 would be, it's still within uncommon territory. Still not enough to push it, I mean, above, I know this is like below, but above the rare category. Because in this category, I have way more cameos that are in store. Like, you want something that actually manages to like just nice tip it over, it's 900 bendies nowadays. Because this thing can go months without like spawning. And then okay, maybe I'll just say another one. 668 KUB or maybe 655 KUB. Their spawn rates are really inconsistent in the sense that you would have one period whereby they spawn a lot and then the next period and then another period it just doesn't spawn at all. But still, overall, 668 and 655 KUBs are considered like relatively common. Okay, let's put 175 A22 over here. Slightly above it, I would put 147 A22. It's like whatever single deck that spawns on 147, be it a KUB, a Citaro, and A22, I would say they are like pretty much the same spawn rate. Unless one of them is like perm, but still, you know, because I don't check SG Wiki often nowadays, but like, it's still roughly the same. Like, the single deckers on like 147 and 65, their spawn rates are like more or less equal. And then I would say, you could say they are like equivalent. Service 111 A22s, you could say they are uncommon. Like, I don't really see them as often as KUBs and Citaros, but it is still not enough to be able to tip them over the rare category. But maybe it's just my own definition, but I don't get it. It's like something that when you look at the whole Cameo history in Singapore, okay, maybe that guy's like only how many years old, whatever. I don't know how you inflate it. If you inflated it to somewhere around here, okay, I can still somewhat understand. But like, if you inflated this thing to the point that like it's very rare, and then you don't even give a valid reason such that like, oh, I have my Japanese viewers watching my video, and I don't want them going around hunting 190 bendies, getting no loot, and then complaining to me. It's like there's no valid reason other than like to fucking clickbait the shit out of people, and they start inflating this or this to like goddamn rare or something. It's just so stupid. And to top it off, right, this thing, this depot and this depot are fucking interchangeable. Okay, before that, right, I would actually equate something. Maybe slightly above or maybe equal to 147,822. I would equate it to like 663 getting a man A95 Euro 5. I don't spot CDS every day, and I'm admitting this fact to you guys right now. So there might have been 663 man A95 Euro 5s that slipped past me during the days that I don't spot CDS. So okay, to be honest, I would put it slightly more common than 147,822, something along those lines. And then there is 670 as well. I would put it slightly above 900 bendy. Let's say 670 getting a man A95 Euro 5. And then you also have to take into account one thing. Okay, 663, AM has 4 buses, PM has 2 buses. So there is a higher chance for like an exotic bus to do AM. I know they're like quite sticky to using Euro 6s, but again, I'm just saying based on logic. This thing, on the other hand, 2 AM if I'm not mistaken, and 2 PM. And what makes it worse is that you have to take into account all the nuances. 670, just because a man A95 E5 spawns during AM peak, that doesn't necessarily mean that the exact same bus would do PM peak. And it has been proven like many times. So keep in mind, I usually spot like PM peak CDS. I'm usually not able to wake up early enough to spot AM peak CDS. And there might have been more man A95 Euro 5s. I have to spot it at Shenton Way and not Anson Road, where majority of the action is like taking place. And then this one, right? The more I do not spot morning peak AM CD and morning peak CDS, the more I wouldn't be able to know exactly how many man A95 Euro 5s have ever spawned on 670. But I've asked around, and then they say that 663 and 670, they tend to like they tend to just use Euro 6s. Like the Euro 6s are quite sticky to these services, and for something outside of Euro 6 to even do that service, it would be quite exotic. And because of that, I'm able to estimate that, like, keeping in mind that I do not spot CDS every day, that it's slightly more common than 900 bendy. In the sense, in fact, I think there might even be a considerable gap between 670 man A95 Euro 5 and 900 bendy per se. Maybe like once in 6 months there will be a 900 bendy on average, and then maybe once in 3 months, depending on your luck, you might have a 670 man A95 Euro 5. And then there's also like 960E OCs or Citaros. I don't spot them often, and therefore I don't go around simply saying, common, uncommon, rare, very rare. Like, I don't spot them every day, and in fact, I've pretty much given up on trying to hunt for 960E OCs already, so I was like, whatever. But again, this kind of like Cameo rarity, it possesses a lot of nuances that a lot of enthusiasts tend to like miss out on. It's like, okay, what is like the spawn chance? Like, what bus would replace AM, PM, blah, blah, blah. And the second thing that people tend to not get, it's like, I mean, this content creator, right? Even on his community post, he has already said that, oh, I got like 7 points for O level. I don't know how well he would do for GP given his constant clickbaiting shenanigans, but okay, that's not important. But it's like, how do you How are you so unable to evaluate? I don't know if you're a science student or like an art student or what, but like, stereotypically art students tend to be able to evaluate better than science students, right? I mean, by statistics. Unless you are like a hybrid. Or even though you are purely science stream, but you possess a lot of like art talent as well. Art like argumentative talent as well. But again, it's like, how are you not able to properly evaluate this as a pre-university student? I just don't get it. And I've talked about this already. Now let's go on to this. Like, I have fucking explained it so many times, but people still don't get it. The whole interchangeable thing between Ulupan and Bus Depot, sure, it's not as like commonplace as like back in the past, but before Ulupandan Depot even existed, there was this thing called Ayer Raja Bus Park. And then the buses from this depot would be interchangeable to this depot. And the tradition kind of like carried on to Ulupandan Depot. So yes, they can kind of like, the buses can do services from either depot when the need arises from it. Now, this goddamn thing is only applicable when there is no interchangeability. If you're talking about Sunli Bus Park and Kranji Depot under SMRT, they are interchangeable. So this isn't even a thing. But the thing is, nowadays, if you want to say like, okay, Galibatu uses its own buses, Sunli Bus Park uses its own buses, they no longer cross very often, so you want to clickbait using this, okay, I can kind of understand. But during the period of time whereby the OCs were spawning on the Sunli Bus Park services, there were lots of like clickbait regarding this, which is how the conversation even started in the first place. But okay, maybe this is like slightly more nuanced. And okay, you know what? I'm just gonna not talk about this. Okay, fine. But the thing is, Ayer Rajah Bus Park and Ulupandan Depot are not even like, Ayer Rajah Bus Park and Ulupandan Depot, for like since the beginning of time, ever since these depots even became a thing, they were interchangeable right from the very beginning. So I don't even get how. Okay, you don't want to use the word cameo, right? Okay, cross depot deployment. Like, how is it a cross depot when both of them are interchangeable in the first place? I I mentioned this I don't know how many goddamn times, and then I still see a lot of people doing this kind of shit. Like, you want something that's like truly cross depot, right? Okay, how about a bus from Ulupandan Depot does a Hougang Depot service? It's like, for example, let's say a Hougang Depot bus service is in no way related to Ulupandan Depot. It's not even supposed to use an Ulupandan Depot bus in the first place. And there are no crossovers from an Ulupandan Depot service to this service, for instance. Only when these conditions are met, it's not just about the interchangeability. You have to look at whether there is like, nonsense like, this crossover to this, or like, this crossover to this. It's not just about the interchangeability. You cannot have any like nonsense like this happening. It must be a Ulupandan Depot. In this case, I'm just using an example. Doing a... Oh, fuck me. Sorry. Whether this service is dual or single depot, it doesn't matter. Like, for example, this thing... Okay, I don't know. Maybe let's just use something else. I don't even know if 87 has like Budok North Depot control, but like, for example, right? These two depots, or maybe this single depot in this case, they have to be completely unrelated to Ulupandan Depot. Like, there mustn't be any like shenanigans, like in the sense that like there must be no buses from here that jump over to this bus service in this case. Normally, there. Okay, let's try that again. Under normal circumstances, there must be no bus that is able to fly all the way from Ulupanan Depot to do these services. And only when all these conditions are met, non-interchangeability is one, no special jump bus, crossover, interline, no such trips happening, and then the bus depots are completely unrelated to each other, then only in this case can this be truly considered a cross depot like Cameo or deployment, run, or whatever you call it. These conditions have to be met. I know I didn't explain it the best way, but you kind of get what I'm trying to, the message that I'm trying to send across. So the next time you're thinking about doing this, don't. Because here's the thing, like some people, they just like default to your factory settings no matter what. No matter how many times you remind them, they're like hunger for like clickbait, their hunger for, you know, to get a wider audience, to uh like to be attention seeking basically. It's just gonna feed into that like okay, what else? Oh my god, my brain is like damaged right now. How should I say it? If you want to know what you're, if you want to at least come across as a person who knows what you're talking about, or at the very least knows how to evaluate stuff, don't do stuff like this. It on the surface, it just looks really stupid. I don't care if like people are, oh, this guy has like he is under the spectrum, or like has some behavior disorders or something along those lines, you know. Even then, right, there's also room for improvement no matter how slow. So yeah, it looks really stupid.